All right, guys, welcome back to Living Life. It's Jason,
Ryan's here too.
and today our guest is Buddy McKenzie. Did I say that right, Buddy?
Yeah, you did.
All right. So we met Buddy 2 weekends ago at Stanfield Hunting Outfitters. We touched a little bit on it on our weekend recap last week. We figured we're recording on the 11th on Monday today, and it's Veterans Day. So what better way to do a podcast is with one of our veterans here. So we asked Buddy if he would join us tonight.
Buddy, where in the world are you today?
We're on Lake St. Clair in Milledgeville, Georgia.
Okay. What is that? What part of Georgia is that? Just
We're in Middle Georgia.
middle Georgia. Okay, cool. How's the weather there today? Getting cooled off yet?
Nah, we don't cool off. We kind of like
no,
y'all.
yes.
We stay pretty hot.
I'm still in shorts today, so hoping
Us too. Well,
for something colder weather.
yeah, when I got out of the military, I said I wasn't gonna shave my face and wear pants. I've been pretty true to that. I haven't shaved my face.
Excellent.
We're going on almost 10 years now without a clean shaven face. So
You look pretty trimmed up though. I mean, looking pretty stylish there.
I mean, y'all invited me on this big old podcast. I mean, I had to make sure I look pretty, you know.
Yep. Well, first and foremost, I want to say personal thank you for your service for our country. It's definitely something bigger and greater than a lot of folks do. So just take this day and honor you and all the other vets out there that are in our family and everybody else's. So thank you for your time.
Oh yes, sir. You're most definitely worth it.
What branch of the service were you in?
I was in the I was in the Army. I was what they call an AGR guy. I was a National Guard guy. So my whole
Okay.
time was in the National Guard, but I was
Okay.
full time for about 10 years.
Where did it take you? Where all have you been?
Let's see, Iraq, Afghanistan, Republic of Georgia, Honduras, Czech Republic, Georgia, Germany, all over the United States.
You got some miles on you.
Yeah, I was averaging about in those 10 years I was active duty, I was averaging about 17 weeks a year at the house.
Okay.
So when people thank me
Wow.
for my service, it's not really thanking. I'm not worth the thanking. It's my family that's made the sacrifice. My ex-wife and my kids are the ones that made the sacrifice, and if they were sitting here, they would tell you the same. Especially now, because I have three older children and I have a little girl, and they always telling me all the time. They're telling my little girl, "Oh, you. Dad's always around for you. He was never here for us."
Right.
So, but luckily, with my son, I've got to spend. He graduated when he was 19. You're gonna see my face, and then you're gonna start doing the math, and you're gonna be like, that boy ain't got three older kids. But I adopted three kids when I was 22, and so my son just turned 27. So luckily, when he was getting out of high school, I was getting out of the Army, and I started a business, and he come to work for me. So
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, and how many years were you in the Army?
I was in a total about 15 and a half.
Okay.
Um, I had the simplest way to explain it is from my tour in Iraq, I burned out my adrenal gland. Most firemen and EMTs, they kind of go through the same thing. So when you burn out your adrenal gland, what happens is that if you get put under constant pressure of doing dangerous stuff, then your brain just shuts down once it starts getting to that dangerous thing, I guess. So if I get put in certain situations, I could black out. That's the easiest way to explain it.
Wow.
I made it sound way harsher than what it is, but I mean that's pretty much the gist of it.
Okay. And what kind of work do you do now?
I run a home inspection company. We've been doing
Nice.
it now for about 10 years.
Okay.
I mean, we do okay with it.
How's the
That's
how's the home market in Georgia?
Well, I mean, I thought after the election last week that we would picked up a lot more
Right.
than what we have this week. But I think that I, November, December are normally slow. Well, I'll take that back. The first 2 weeks of December are slow, and then we'll pick back up about that third week, and then we'll run right to Christmas, and then we'll shut back down. because
Okay.
most people move in the summer and then over Christmas because of school holidays.
Cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well,
Well, that's pretty good. That's conducive to hunting a little bit. Slow time and oh, it's slow time. It's during hunting season. Darn, I got to go do some hunting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had a real we had a real crappy season last year, and luckily for veteran hunts, I was able to push it out. But my dog had a conversation with me on the way home from Arkansas, and it was pretty much, hey, if we don't start hunting, I need to find somebody else to go with. So it's one of the things we tried to push out this season. We're going to be hunting. We tried to hunt him in Texas, and that was a no go. And then we'll be hunting around here probably Thanksgiving, and then me and my little girl's going to probably, I'm hoping, Nebraska the 26th, and then we'll be hunting Reelfoot, and then hopefully Arkansas a little bit. So we get to travel a little bit and hunt.
are you mainly
Nice.
waterfowl hunting or deer? Do you do deer hunting and turkeys
Yeah,
or?
I piddle with the deer stuff. I mean, we were sitting in Fordyce, Arkansas with some boys that were gracious enough to take us hunting. It was a long time ago, probably back in 2012. And them boys were like, duck hunting's stupid. And if you come around us and hunt with us, you're going to hear that at least once or twice. Cause we was hunting Maumee, Beta, whatever. They had all the spots and we were doing the boat race stuff and running, walking 3 miles in. And it was me, two of my best friends from high school, and my son. And you talk about the memories were made that trip. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we were all sitting there at breakfast, and he's like, "Duck hunting's stupid." He's like, "That's one of the guys we were hunting with." He's like, "Oh, duck hunting's stupid." He's like, "Here we are at 2:30 in the morning, cold water, and here we are in boats, and yeah." But here I am. I'm still doing it. So.
I've said it over and over again. Anytime someone wants to get into it, I said there's only two things that happen. You hate it, you think it's the dumbest thing in the world, and everybody that does it's idiots, or you got to go home and tell your old lady you're about to drop 5 or 6 grand just to get started, and you're going to be absolutely obsessed with it. There's absolutely no in between with the duck hunting. There's not.
Women buy shoes, I buy decoys.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, we were back in our early days or whatever, we were sitting there and my brother-in-law at the time, he was like, we need every decoy. We're going to go hunt Stuttgart. And he's like, we need every decoy. It's late season. I'm like, we don't know. The internet doesn't say that. The internet says that we need very little. He's like, no, the guide said, or the guy we're renting the blind from said, we need every decoys. How many decoys do you got? So I had my basement down there. I had decoys spread out everywhere. And so he texted me. He's like, how many decoys you think you got? I said, well, we got 67 mallards. He's like, you got 67 mallards? And my wife at the time, she said, how many damn decoys have you been buying? I was like, I don't know. I just buy them and stick them in the basement.
Nice.
Sooner or later, we'll need them. I mean, so.
That's typically how it goes. I
Yeah.
heard a funny quote, and I don't even remember where I heard it from. It's a week or two ago that the fastest way to become a millionaire duck hunting is start a billionaire.
Yeah, that is true. I mean,
Yep.
well, I mean, so my last hunt was I did the veteran hunt in Texas, and then I tried to hunt an extra day. I think it was a Lukenbach or whatever, and then my car got broken into, and so you're sitting there, and the guy's got, it was a snatch and grab, so you're sitting there and you're totaling up all the stuff that they were able to grab out of the car, and I was like, what the crap? I didn't realize there was that much. I mean, they got like decoys and some other stuff I had with me, and I'm like, man, I didn't realize how much stuff they got. And then on the way home, I was on the phone and I'm like, oh crap, they got my duck decoys. I mean, my duck calls. And I'm like, man, the sentimental value I got in the duck decals, I can't replace. I mean, I get all the gear, I can replace it. I can't replace
Right.
the sentimental value in the duck calls.
Right.
I mean, you can't replace I was blowing one of them calls when my son shot his first wood duck, and Butch Rickenbacher's the last one to tune them calls. So you can tell I'm not I don't call. So that tells you, if you know much about waterfowl, that
Yeah.
if he was the last one to tune them. So yeah.
So that happened on your way home after we hunted with you?
Yeah, I hunted till Wednesday, and then Thursday, there's an so I was trying to get my dog one more hunt in, you know what I'm saying? So and I wanted to shoot a crane, and where we were at,
Yeah.
No
Wouldn't.
cranes, even though when y'all left, we had two more cranes land with us the next day, or one of the hunts we had two cranes land with us. And I was like, I want a crane. It's 18 hours out to Texas. So I tried to push one more hunt and
Make it worth your while. How did you
yeah,
guys finish up at Stanfield? How was the last couple of days?
it was pretty good. The last day was rough. Our other 2 days, I think we shot over 20.
Okay.
It- the and lodging and everything is very nice. I do believe there was too many people in the blind. If that's one thing that we can say. I mean, 20 people in A-frames is a lot. I mean,
Damn, they did 20 with y'all on the veteran hunt.
yeah, and with the other
Wow.
group that was there too. So, because they were only running two main guides. But
Okay.
Okay.
we still had a good time and all. I mean, I'm a good time wherever I go. So,
Did y'all end up getting wet out there?
No, and I will tell you, as many mornings I've hunted, my best friend Jeff that I've hunted with, there's been plenty of mornings we got up and it's been raining like that, and he's like, "Hey, we just gonna sit this one out or whatever else." And it's one of them mornings that Tuesday morning I was sitting in the car, I was like, "What are we doing? This is just take me back. I'm going back to the lodge." We waited it out. I mean, I think we shot over 20 that day. So, I mean,
Nice.
it was worth the wait, but we really didn't get too wet.
That's good.
Yeah, when we left there Sunday, it had just started raining right when I pulled out of there Sunday, and it should be about a 3 hour drive home for me, and it took me a little over 4 because it was raining so bad my entire way home that day.
Yeah, it would tell you it's funny because y'all walked out of the Mexican restaurant and I was sitting in the parking lot as y'all were getting in the truck.
Really?
I was like, well, it must be good if y'all are eating here.
There's not a whole lot in Knox City. There's not a lot of choices. So,
Hey, how did you like the menu at the restaurant?
The lady was very nice. I never had I forgot what she called it, but it ended up being pork stomach or not beef stomach
Menudo.
lining or something.
Yeah,
Menudo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she sat there and I ate as much of it as I could, and she's like, "You don't like it?" And I'm like, "This isn't my favorite." And she ended up bringing me something else, but I was like, because she looked at me and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna try new stuff. I've never heard of it,
Yeah.
And then she brought it. I was like, I don't know if this is my favorite.
Yeah, I'll eat a lot of stuff. I skip on the menudo.
What were the options? It was menudo, meatloaf,
Meatloaf, tacos.
Yeah.
We walked in and we looked at the board. Then I said, "Can we get a menu?" And she turned and she pointed and she said, "That's the menu today." I said, all right. And little guy's like, "I want meatloaf." I was like, "Meatloaf at a Mexican restaurant?" I tried a bite of it. It was pretty good. I'm surprised. The tacos I had were good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, what's your next trip? What's your next trip you got on the books? What are you looking at?
I mean, well, we'll be going on wood duck shoots around here, but I mean, we're supposed to go. We're supposed to be going with another veteran organization in December, and probably going to go for a couple more. Probably going to be trying to shoot ducks, I guess, Nebraska or Kansas or something like that.
Okay.
so with the veteran hunts, is there like a network? I mean, how do you find out about the veteran hunts? Like,
It's all. I mean, it's all
for guys
Facebook
out
groups.
there that have never done it, or just got out and they're wanting to get on some of these veteran hunts. I mean, how do they go about it?
I mean, the veteran benefits are. I mean, I think that's the best part. I mean, I hate to. I mean, like, so you got the following that there's really truly there's too many organizations, and I was talking to Robert, one of the other guys out there, about it. There's just too many. There's too many people that are trying to start 503Cs or whatever to do this type of stuff, and they don't have the resources or the people joining those groups. I mean, I think Texas. I think y'all got. I think I'm on 4 different pages out there
Okay.
on different veteran hunts and different groups. And the TFO or the Following Outdoors is really the best one. And they're supporting each other. Yeah. I said I was going to be true and honest. So I'm going to be true and honest. So when I was going through my divorce or whatever, we was a little low on money. And so my little girl, to get her out of the house, we did a lot of those TFO events. I mean, because they were doing falconry, and they were doing we do a pheasant shoot with them every year. We take our dogs. I have 2 labs. I've got a yellow lab and a red fox lab. We go up there and run dogs for them and off the tower shoots and stuff like that. Plus my kids get to go and be a part of that. And it gets them around other veterans that are like-minded. And then every once in a while we get to drag 1 or 2 guys out of the house that don't want to go out of, won't come out of the house anymore. We're starting to get more and more of those guys, like the Vietnam guys, that are more stuck in the house. They don't want to leave the house type situations. And the TFO and other hunting organizations, it's good to try to pull them out to do stuff. So, but Facebook's the main thing. The TFO is the big one that they do. I think they started December 1st. I think they're going to start their 25 days of Christmas. They do a huge giveaway every year. Different people donate, and you put your name in the hat. Same thing with the trip that we were on. I forget which Texas organization it was that I put my name in the hat and got to go. Most of the time, the trips are free. The one that this past one or whatever, it was a paid hunt. We had to pay, but they gave us a discount, and
Nice.
and they were very supportive of veterans. So
Yeah, Jeff's big on that, and which it's good to see the outfitters like that, especially because I mean, Jeff's pretty big time when it comes to outfitters, and it's for them to be able to, if they understand they can't give the whole thing free. I mean, he's still got to make a living, but to at least give discounts and stuff to be able to get you guys out. And
yeah, CapCut. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he runs CapCut Outfitters, I think it is, and he was right there in Lubbock or whatever, however y'all say it. Everybody I talked to said it differently.
Lubbock.
Yeah, that's how I would say it, but everybody down there pronounced it differently. But I mean, he gave me a pretty, I was going to hunt with them that morning. He gave us a pretty good discount on veterans, and he's a veteran himself. So I think he was a prior Marine. So I mean, it's just one of those, try to support each other. But I mean,
Yeah. If you ever get the opportunity to get back in the Panhandle again of Texas, there's an outfitter that Jason and I like. Well, there's 2 of them that we like to go with. One is Cadillac Creek Outfitters with Toby, and he's got this really, really cool, swanky new lodge. You can look it up online. And the other one is another outfit that we hunted with is Panhandle Flyways, and they're a little smaller organization, but definitely kind of has that same family feel to it, like Stanfield does.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Like Brandon at Panhandle Flyways is it. We had dinner at his house with his wife last year when we hunted with them. I mean, it's small. It's they don't bring a lot of people and they hunt one group at a time, so it's a little bit different aspect, but it's cool. And then, like Ryan was saying, Toby's is absolute top notch. Probably other than, and there's probably not a lot of lodges nicer than Toby's new one.
Yeah.
It's something special.
It's a man cave. It's a deluxe for sure.
Looking for a trip up there pretty soon. That's
Yep.
Ron Bailey's not doing any veteran hunts, is he? Just
Uh,
brothers.
just the Gun Brother stuff. Yeah, just the Gun Brother stuff. I'll talk to him. He may put something together later in the year at some of his places. So we can definitely find out. One of my good buddies, Buddy, is a disabled vet. He was an Army Ranger, and he's got some property up by where our deer lease is, and he leases, I don't know, like 50 or 60 ponds around his place, and he runs a lot of various hunts for a lot of folks. So good guy. I've known him, and I went on a bear hunting trip in Montana, and we drove from Texas to Montana. So I got to hear all kinds of stories for days on end from that guy. And some of it's great, and some of it's like, man, that's pretty tough. And yeah, there's some funny stuff out there from him for sure. But I think if you listen to the previous podcast, I mentioned him. He's the gentleman that also wears a bracelet very similar to yours. Can you tell me the story on the bracelet on yours?
My bracelet is Michael Stokely, and me and Michael went to Georgia Military College, which is in Milledgeville, Georgia. Sidebar real quick is that I came to GMC in 2000, and I was I cannot say I was more happier than the day I left this place, and I swore I would never come back here. And when I got back from Iraq, I got told I was coming back here. So don't ever say never, because you're going to end up where you said you would never be. But no, me and Michael went to school together. Me and Mike went to school together, and we were sitting. We both worked for the Georgia Army National Guard. When I was in college, I worked in the mailroom, and he worked for recruiting. And this is after we got out of college, or in between that weird time or whatever. And when we got the call up in '04 that we were going to go to Iraq, we were sitting up on Confederate Avenue, which is where the headquarters used to be for the Georgia Army National Guard. And we sat up there on the hill and we talked. And I was like, he's like, "You're going, I'm going to go, I'm going to go." And I'm like, "Don't go." He just had got married and a bunch of other stuff. I never knew that he was, I never knew that he was going to be in Iraq. So I don't try to boaster what I did in Iraq or anything like that. But so if you Google Triangle of Death in 0506, you'll see what we went through and what we lived through. And that's what the AJC called it. I don't make up names, and I try not, like I said, I don't try to embellish. So Mike was on Yusufia and I was on what they call Mamadia. And so we patrolled, I was on a 19-man team, and we patrolled Yusufia, Mamadia, Ludafia. And so I would go into Ludafia, and we would do what they call battlefield circulation, or basically we would go and check, because my boss, or my lieutenant colonel, had to deal with other lieutenant colonels on other bases. So we were kind of like what they call a PSD team in a lot of ways. But I was on a MIT team, which is a military transition team, pretty much. And so I'd go through Yusufia, and I would hear, "McKenzie, Stokely's looking for you. McKenzie, Stokely's looking for you." And then I'd go through the chow hall with Mama D, and when they were at Mama D, and you would hear his guys be like, "Stokely's looking for you, McKenzie." And I could never find him. And then they told us one day that he stepped on an IED, and that was the end. So I've worn his bracelet now for 19 years. This year will be the 20th year. I broke my finger back in July, and the X-ray tech was sitting there, and she was X-raying my finger, and she brought it up or whatever. So so I was like looking at it, I was like, man, it's been almost 20 years since we were in Iraq, and since we lost Mike.
Wow.
We lost 24 in Iraq, and then we lost 18 in Afghanistan. So
yeah, that's tough, man. When we were coming home from Montana, we had stopped in, God, I don't even, maybe Amarillo, Texas, another podunk West Texas town.
Shithole.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were going through, I don't know, we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants that whole trip as far as routes we were taking. We wanted to go, we were making the drive. We said, we're going to take the routes that we want to see and go through the towns and the places we want to go to. Even if it's a little bit out of the way, what's an hour on a 24-hour drive, right? So we were coming home, going through someplace, and we stopped for lunch, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to go through there on the way home." I'm like, yeah. He goes, can we stop and say hello to a friend? And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I mean, what's 30 minutes at this point? And I said, well, where's he at? Do you want to meet him for dinner or do this or that? Or what do we want to do? He goes, no, I want to go by his graveside. I'm like, oh shit. So I just ate my words there. But that was another eye-opening moment for me. It was pretty neat, I'll have to say.
Now we lost another one of my buddies, Alex French, in Afghanistan, and it was it really hurt. I mean, it hurt losing Michael Stokely, because I mean he was really loved, and me and him were buddies, but me and Alex worked together every day just about for a long time, and we moved Humvees together. Our kids played together. My son eats stinky cheese because of him. I love telling that story. there's a gas station not too far from here, and they sell that Hoboken cheese or whatever it is, and every time I go by there, or we would fill up Humvees up there, and then Alex would go in there and buy that cheese and bring it in there, and it just sat in my office and stank and greased up. And then my son come in there one day after he got out of school, and he's like, "I need something to eat." And I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna play a trick on him." I threw that cheese at him, and he started eating it. He's like, "This cheese is the best cheese ever." And I was like, "Oh my God." Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Well, Jason, you want to kind of recap the story from Knox for
Yeah,
folks that
we can.
did the previous episode?
Yeah. So we're
I
hunting.
still want to see the video, by the way. I haven't seen the video.
I'll post it.
Okay.
So, we're hunting group birds. Actually, wasn't even a group. 2 birds come in. God calls a shot. We shoot. 1 falls, not dead. The guide says, "Little guy," talking about Knox. He said, "You want to come finish this bird off?" And at that point, he hadn't asked him. The guides would go catch the cripples. So I knew something was up. And about the time Knox got out of the blind, at first Knox was like, because he's like looking down the blind, like I could get past all these guys. And I said, "Give me your gun. I'll hand it to you." So he's like, "I don't know." I said, "Go." It started clicking in my head what was going on. I'm like, I bet that bird's banded. So Knox goes out there, whiffs the first one. Second one, he probably put some pellet in the goose's ass, but he didn't finish it. But Knox, God went and got it, rang its neck, brought it back. At that point, I think we all knew it was banded. Hunt's over. We do the draw for who's going to get the bird with the feather in the shell. Buddy, you had walked off somewhere, and one of the guys
take a pee if we got to tell everybody my business. I mean.
And to come back, and they handed him the last one, and he looks at it, and it's got the feather in it. And you said something about like I didn't even shoot at it or something, right? And
I didn't. I mean, y'all were bitching about it on the last one, so I can bitch about it on this one. Them buckets, if you don't know what you're doing with the buckets, I think that was like the 3rd volley or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah.
By the time those birds came in, I was still trying to get used to getting off the bucket or getting out of. I had brought a dove chair. They told us to bring a dove chair. I think I was trying to get out of the dove chair, which was lower than the buckets. So, by the time I got up, I knew I hadn't shot. So I wasn't. If it was my boy, I would want somebody to give it to my boy. No matter how old my son is or whatever else, but I'd want him to have it. You know what I'm saying? It's a memorable thing of a lifetime.
And that 8-year-old has people that we have friends, his baseball coaches, parents on the baseball team. They know he hunts and fishes a lot with me, and he has not stopped. They honestly, they don't know what it means. They don't understand the significance of a band. And I shot a band. I kind of shot it, but this guy gave it to me, but I shot at it, and I may have missed, but I may have hit it the first time. He goes on and on and on and on, but I bet he's told everybody at school 10 times, because I'm like when I picked him up today, I was like, "Did you tell anybody about your band? Because they're probably tired of hearing it." Well, there was one kid that wasn't there at the end of last week, and I forgot. So I told him about it today. And so, yeah, you've made his year with that. I can't be more thankful for you doing that for him.
Like I said, my memory of everything that we do pretty much. We didn't start dove hunting until a couple years ago. And I had no interest in dove hunting. And then one of my older daughters was like, "Hey, we're going dove hunting." And I'm like, "What? We don't dove hunt." And then she's like, "No, we dove hunt." And I'm like, "Okay, so we dove hunt now." My son, been all over, before he turned 18 and other things caught his interest. We'll put it that way. It was nothing for us to be in the truck on a Thursday headed to Arkansas and hunting. That's something that one connects all of us together, and two, I mean, it was the right thing. Like I said, I didn't shoot. Now, if my dog would have got it, if my dog would
Yeah.
have retrieved it, it'd be a different story.
Yep.
But the dog didn't even retrieve it. So, but no, I mean, I mean, I mean, with us or whatever, it's the stories, man. I mean, that stuff doesn't go away, you know. I mean,
No.
Right. And I think Jason and I talk about that quite a bit is it doesn't matter what we do. We've already done it, right? So give these boys the opportunity to make those memories and let them get out there and chase the same thing we did at their age.
oh yeah, I mean, my little girl, I mean, she's got it figured out. I mean, you know, if we run to Arkansas, it's like, where are we eating? We're looking on Yelp because she knows that's what the deal is. And if she
Right.
goes hunting around here, she's like, "Oh, where are we going to breakfast?" You know, because she's not in it for the hunting; she's in it for the breakfast. You know, I mean, so I mean, you know, and it's the memories we make and the time that we get. Uh, it kind of goes back to the bracelet, right? We live for the opportunities that our brothers and sisters didn't get to. So I mean, if you really talk to veterans or whatever else, a lot of those guys, I don't have PTSD because I'm running from it. But you know, I mean, it's the memories that we get and the time that we get that they don't get. So like my other kids didn't ride the Harley when they were little. Uh, one of my older daughters, it rides with me pretty regularly. And that's our time. And then my little girl, she don't have a choice. Well, now I drove 4 hours out of the way to Abilene to get Harley Davidson t-shirts because her birthday's coming up on Thursday. So, I mean, it's that kind of stuff that, you know, they're going to remember, that we get to spend time with, and they're off them damn screens. I mean,
Right.
uh,
Yep.
because the screens are teaching them more stuff than we'll ever will, a lot faster than we ever will. So
They do. And you know, it's kind of crappy because they're a useful tool. It's just like everything else with human nature. You use it and abuse it and do it too much, especially when it's easy and those screens are easy. And I mean, even as parents, I mean, it no different. I tell him, we go to the deer lease, you don't jack with that iPad. You don't mess with it. Like right before bed, maybe I'm okay. But then, you know, you get on a 3, 4, 5 hour drive with a little kid in the back seat, and it's like, here's my phone. Give me an hour break.
I'm the opposite. I was that way. I was that way when I was young and my kids were in the stand. I was like, you're going to sit there. You're going to watch for these deer, blah, blah, blah. Now with Savannah, my little girl, I'm like, here, take your phone, sit here, take your shoes off. I know we're not, you know, I know we're not going to shoot anything. Your feet smell, you know, whatever, but you're going to sit here with me. I mean, you know, uh, she's the only out of all my kids. She's the only one. We were in a pop up blind a couple of weeks ago, and a buck walked out, and my buddy's like, "You didn't shoot it? You didn't shoot it?" I was like, "Savannah had the best seat," and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "We were too busy watching the deer to worry about even trying to get a shot off." And he's like, "Man, I would have shot it." I'm like, "Not with a 10-year-old. There's no way we'd have made too much noise. By the time we'd have maneuvered around, it would have been over with. You know, he'd have known we were there." So
How
So
long have you been?
how's the dove hunting in Georgia?
it's decent. I mean, um, we probably go about twice a year. I mean, we do pretty decently. There's a lot of sunflower fields and stuff like that we hunt.
Okay.
It ain't nothing like Texas. I mean, not with the doves. I mean, y'all got us beat hands down. Just because y'all got the acres, y'all got way more acreage than we do.
Right.
We
The one of the
have pretty
questions
good
I
season.
had, do what, Jason?
I was saying we have pretty good dove seasons most years.
Yeah, did last couple of years. Last year was better, I think, but you know, it comes and
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, we
One,
still haven't hit our second half of dove season either here.
right.
So we'll take, I don't even know, I gotta look at the dates, but I want to say early December.
Yeah,
That we
earlier
start
May,
up. I think
yeah.
we get like 4 or 5 weeks again, and typically, depending with the weather, sometimes it's better for us that part of the year.
Yeah, I think we end 1st of December. By that time we're normally chasing ducks. So
Yeah, well, we get where we'll duck hunt or deer hunt in the morning, and then shoot dove in the afternoon when we get closer to Christmas.
Yeah. I know quail is a big thing down in South Georgia. Is it prevalent where you're at, buddy?
No, we don't have any quail. And most of the quail and the pheasant stuff, I think y'all are getting it too. We're getting more of the paid pheasant European style hunts off the
Yep.
towers. And then on the
Yeah.
quail stuff, you're on big plantations and it's all a pay to play. We don't have the open fields and the public lands like that.
Yeah. Quail in Texas has been very, and depends who you ask, but it's been very, very hit or miss. And in the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years that we've hunted down in South Texas has been pretty good miss. Down kind of where our deer lease is, a little more central West Texas, we've really seen a good rebound this year. And I think it was because we had a ton of rain in the spring. And we've seen this year alone, we've seen 2 coveys of quail with 30 to 40 birds. And I can't tell you the last time that I remember seeing that ever. It's been, I don't know if I've ever seen that, to be honest with you. But it's a tough bird, and it's just not hardy enough for some of the stuff that Texas throws at it typically.
I don't think everything's that tough. You know what I'm saying?
So you mentioned you hunt a lot up in Arkansas. How long you been hunting in Arkansas?
We're gonna start showing age now. Let's see. So my son got me. My son was part of he don't want to admit it. He almost got us kicked out of West Monroe. We've hunted, but out of Duck Commander twice. But we started hunting probably Arkansas probably about 2005, 2006, somewhere in there, or probably when I got back from Iraq, which would have been 06. We started getting more and more into duck hunting. It was one of
You
those
hunt a
things.
lot of public land there?
Man, I've hunted just about everywhere you can hunt in Arkansas. I've hunted. I always say it wrong. My we've hunted all through there. We've hunted pit. We did the whole pit thing in Stuttgart. We've hunted pheasant thaw, which I mean, if pheasant thaw had more birds, that's where I would retire to. I loved it in pheasant thaw. We couldn't ever really really could not kill the birds there. And then my buddy Jeff, he was gracious enough for a long time. He let me come hunt his lease with him, and he had a lease up in Wiener, or I think it was Wiener up there. Wiener's the biggest town up there, and that's where we hunted. I think it was White Oaks was part of one of the duck clubs that was right there.
So you were, I'm gonna call you an old school duck hunter if you were hunting back in 2005. That's there's not a lot of duck hunters that have done that. I can tell you that.
No, we've got pictures going back to early 2000s where my brother-in-law at the time he was getting mad because we went hunt real foot, and the whole guide there wasn't no birds, and I was sitting there sleeping on a school bus seat, and guide would be like birds, and I'd get up and still shoot every time. I mean, that's how intermittent it was to shoot. So now I mean, I can sit here and tell stories all day.
Have you gotten into the snow geese at all in Arkansas?
No, I hunted up in my mom was gracious enough when I got out of the military. She that was my retirement gift from her. And so we went up and shot snow geese up at Scott Kramer. I think it's Squad Lodge or whatever it is. I can't remember that. So yeah, I mean, we've stacked them pretty deep once or twice.
Yeah, we've been to Arkansas twice or 3 times, Jason.
3, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, some of those hunts kind of blend together, but
I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, and I don't know if you want to discuss it or not, but the flyway shifting. I mean, that's the reason why we're hunting West Texas and that kind of stuff. And people don't want to look at it, nor do they want to admit it.
When I started duck hunting 20 years ago, I hunted east of Dallas. We hunted East Texas. I went east. And when Ryan started hunting with me, we started going west some. We were hunting some public stuff west of Dallas, and everything keeps moving. I mean, there's still some good stuff in East Texas, but it's not like it was, at least not on the public stuff. It's not. And even right here, I mean, in Dallas area where I'm at, I can drive an hour and a half in almost any direction and be somewhere I can hunt. on public water, and it's not what it used to be. I mean, Sunday morning I was on a lake 40 minutes north of here that I cut my teeth duck hunting on, and I could go years ago. Didn't matter. I'd find 3 or 4 spots with birds. If somebody was in one of them, I'd go to another one. I would shoot birds. Maybe not limits all the time, but I would shoot birds. I was out there fishing Sunday morning, and I put in some of the late guys duck hunting were putting in. I was putting in to go fishing, and I heard shots at first light. By 8 o'clock, 8:30, I'm watching all these guys run back to the boat ramp. They were done. And I was like, there's no way. There was not enough shots for the amount of boats. And people weren't done because they shot limits. People were done because there's no birds left in this area.
That's Georgia hunting.
Yeah.
You're going to shoot the wood ducks in the morning, and that's going to be about it. I mean, you're going to be sitting at the Waffle House by about 9 most mornings, waiting on the afternoon nap. So.
Well, and it even says where Ron and I, where our lease is, it's west of me. I mean, it's west of him. And we have birds there. And I would have never in a million years guessed we'd have the amount of birds we have. Now, I used to have some leases directly north of me, right at the Oklahoma border, that we lost this year. And we had birds, but it's been dwindling. The last 4 years, it's been dwindling on us there. So, yeah, something's definitely changing. Whether the flyway shift, something is different.
No, I mean, we hunted Canada probably about 5 years ago. We were in Saskatchewan, and I mean, I kind of felt bad. It's the only thing we're shooting is juvies. I mean, we had great. I mean, we stacking birds. I mean, but then you're starting to look at the birds, and they're like, oh, well, I mean, but you kind of like, we're here, we might as well shoot them. But at the same time, you're like, they didn't know no better, and they ain't had a chance to grow up. It's just I mean, the birds are figuring out what's going on or whatever else, but they definitely ain't where they used to be. That's for sure.
No, they're not. And I guess it's the evolution of things, and whether it's climate or just nature being nature and stuff moving around, but figure one day it'll come back. And if it doesn't go back to the way it was for me, I don't know. I guess starting to get old and everything's the good old days, right? It's always better, right? But
I told somebody that the other day. I think it was Andrew when we were it was my roommate when we were in Texas, and he said something. I was like, well, we're getting old now because now everything's 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago. Yep. We've been friends for 20 years now.
Yep. That's good. Good stuff. Well, Jace, what else we got for Buddy tonight? Anything else on tap?
I don't think I got anything. I think we covered everything I had on my list.
Excellent. Buddy, you got any questions for us about Texas or styles, what we get into or anything of that sort?
I mean, no. I mean, if it goes back to what he was just saying, if you would have told me 5 or 6 years ago I never even thought Texas as a duck hunting state. And I hate to put that on any type of podcast or anything now, because now everybody and their brother's going to be running out there because they think, it's the next great thing since sliced bread. But I mean, we did stack birds. I mean, and we did have pretty good numbers. So, I mean, it was we had a good hunt 100%. So, but if you'd have told me 5 years ago that we would have been hunting Texas on birds, I'd have been like, no, we're going to or something else,
Well, Jason and I are going to give it a go this weekend at our lease. We saw, what were we there 2 weeks ago?
3 weekend before 3. It was the weekend before we went to Stanfield for youth for the boys.
We had birds there at that point. So
yeah, not enough to hunt.
I'm hoping we're going to be hunting in shorts this weekend, but I'm hoping we have some more birds that have pushed in that area.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was on a veteran hunt back in last season, and old boy was tromping through the woods, and we in canoes and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I done been spoiled. And he's like, what? I'm like, where's the side-by-side? He's like, what do you mean the side-by-side? I was like, the side-by-side that picks me up, takes me to the blind, drops me off. I throw out 6 decoys. I said, I'm to the point in my life now where I'm old man hunting. I don't want to be tromping through the woods, trying to shoot 4 wood ducks. I was like, I just want to sit in the pit all day and talk to shit and, see what happens. I mean, and then the same thing when we were out there in Texas, we out there, hunting them A-frames. I'm like, this isn't Arkansas hunting. We ain't trumping through the woods and all this stuff. I'm like, hell, I'm getting too old for that stuff anyways. I gotta get
Well,
back
that's
in
the
shape for
thing.
that.
I think maybe Ron and I are doing a little bit of disservice to our boys because they've never. Knox has done a little public hunting, but when he was really little, like 3, 4, and so he wasn't hunting; he was just along for the ride.
Yeah.
And I just sold my mud boat too, and I told him we're gonna build another one in a couple years because you're gonna have to get a little bit of public experience, get your ass handed to you because now when Ron and I both have Rangers, we get to the deer lease, we back them off trailers. The decoys are hanging off the side. We pull out in the lake. I mean, the boys step out
We
and
drive to the
in
blind.
blind. If it's cold, they're firing a heater up, and it's like, we're throwing decoys in the dark. I don't want a 7, 8-year-old falling in the water in the dark. Now, afterwards, we usually make the boys pick up, but come on, they're not walking shit in. I mean, they're walking over to a Ranger. Ryan's all bougie and he's got a cab on his Ranger. So if it's real cold, they just climb their asses in the Ranger with the heater while Ryan and I end up picking everything up.
Yep.
Now we hunted the Tennessee. Me and my dog, we hunted the Tennessee River this year, and the old boy up there, and he's got a public blind up there, and we're sitting up there, and he was running 2 blinds that day, and he brings us burritos, and he's like, hey, y'all turn that stove on and heat up these burritos. I'm like, hey man, what's your marital status? And he's like, what? I'm like, you got 2 blinds on the Tennessee River. You bringing me a burrito? There's an oven in this blind. I was like, so we're about to heat up and have warm burritos. But yeah, I mean, nothing beats them days of where we're tromping through, getting stuck with our waders, trying, our buddies sitting there pushing their foot down to push our foot up to get us out of the mud. I mean, yeah, those are the hunts we remember, stepping
I just
underneath the
hope
dam. That's the stuff that we remember.
I just hope these boys at some point they're going to get old enough where they don't want to hunt with dad at least for a little while, and I just hope they go off and do the crap I did and do that kind of stuff and get stuck. And I mean, hell, before we had kids, I had to call my wife one morning on Christmas morning. I was duck hunting by myself, and I said, I just blew a cylinder on the boat motor. I got a 20-mile-an-hour headwind, and the boat will only go about 5. I don't know if I'm gonna be back in time to go to family Christmas.
It's funny you say that because I was saying, I think y'all said it at other podcast. The guy got the trailer stuck,
Yeah.
and I was like, thank God that is out of the way this season. Because at least one time a season, I'm gonna get something stuck, And most of the time, I've been stuck in Arkansas 3 times, and it's called for an 8x8 tractor. I don't know what the technical term or whatever it is, but we've had to go get a farmer and pay the farmer to get the tractor to get the truck out. And I was like, maybe with the guy getting the truck stuck, that's it. Last year we were going down this little bitty road, and we were in the side by side, and the damn road just caved in. And me and my buddy Jeff, we're sitting there, and he looked at me and he goes, what are we going to do? And so I sat there and tried to get it out, because according to him, I'm the expert. So I sat there and tried to get it out, got everything done or whatever. And so we go back to the lodge to try to go get another side by side to get us out. As we're walking back to his side by side, he goes, well, you're the subject matter expert on this. What's it going to take? I said, a tractor. He's like, what? I said, the flow chart of Arkansas and being stuck calls tractor. And sure as shit, an hour later, here come a Kubota to get this side by side out. So, I mean, getting stuff stuck and breaking it and cussing and trying to figure out what we're going to do next or how we're going to get out of it. That's the main thing.
It just makes you better for the next time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, buddy, we thank you for being on here tonight. I'd love to hear from you after you finish out your season and all your trips and everything. And
yeah, just shoot me. You got my contact info. Shoot me a text. Talking about the band and stuff. I mean, it was interesting I think Jason sent me the info about where the bird came from and everything else, and then I got to share it with my friends and family, and got to tell the story about their how everything happened and everything. So and like I said, I'm talking about my buddy Jeff. I text him and he's like, "You didn't keep the band?" I was like, "No, I gave it to a little boy." He's like, man, he's like, out of all the specs, because he's the subject matter expert. He's like, man, out of all the specs I've shot, I've only got one spec band. He's like, that's probably the only second spec band I've heard. I was like, well, I guess we're going to Texas on the next trip, so you can shoot another.
Yeah.
Do it. So last year we did opening weekend at Stanfield too. And the morning that we're in that video on their first family of waterfowl, and with that crazy hunt where they were all tornadoing in, Ryan and I were on that. We shot a band.
Okay.
That one too on that hunt. And then what they shot 3 bands in the first 3 days, I think.
Yeah, this year
they shot one the day before you got there, the one in our group, and then I think the following day they shot a band too.
Yeah, they went 3 for 3.
Dang.
Yep.
So yeah, there's something about those calendar birds, I guess, being the banded ones, because I mean that's only the second. I think that's only the second hunt I've ever been part of with banded bird being shot.
Yeah.
And
I've been on a couple where mallards and stuff like that were, but it was one of those where the guy knew we knew who shot it, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
You're not drawing for it. It was pretty obvious that where the bird was shot and everything else. So
yeah, we were joking around on the way home with saying if we shot one a duck or anything this year during the season, how we were going to determine who got it. And Ronson's like, well, I'm next, right? And it's like, no, we're on. And then I was like, no, you know what? I got to get the shot cam out and put it on some guns here, so we'll just have proof who shot it or who didn't.
Yep. Awesome. Well, buddy, I appreciate it again. Like I said, let's recap after your season. Let's get together one more time and see how you do. And good luck to you on the rest of the season. And thank you again for your service on Veterans Day today. We truly appreciate it. And we look forward to talking to you soon.
yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, buddy.